Hi, friends. Miss Capiello here to read along with you for tonight's homework. So, just so you don't forget, we're going to read pages 171 to 191. And as we read, I want you to take notes in your writer's notebook. So, maybe some important events, quotes that stand out to you, and your feelings and observations. This is really important because, as you will see, this is going to be a very important chapter for us. And I didn't want to read it without you. So, we will read it together and prepare your hearts. A lot happens, but we will get through it together. So we're going to start together on page 171. And let's get started. Can I spotlight this? Whatever. Okay. 171. Google News item, December 22nd, 2008, 4:56 p.m. Boulders dislodged from mine site crash into school. Building destroyed. At least 5 children hurt. Black Banks, Kentucky, and we know who lives there. A bank of rocks left over from a mountain blasted by thousands of pounds of explosives at a coal mining site crashed into a Kentucky middle school, leaving behind irreparable damage and injuring 5 children who were in the gymnasium during basketball practice. It's a miracle the boys weren't killed, said Carl Blanton, a parent of one of the injured basketball players at Daniel Boone Middle School. If school hadn't been out, there would have been dozens of dead children there. Most of the boys' injuries resulted from them trying to escape the approaching boulders, which were slowed down only by the thick walls of the gymnasium. However, the jolt of the boulders caused ceiling trusses to fall into the gymnasium and onto the 5 boys. Whew. I'm just going to adjust this camera really quick. We're going to be on page 172. I just want to get it closer for you. Okay. Mr. Todd is just really good at this. This is hard. Okay. The largest of the boulders managed to break through an exterior door and struck Mark Combs, who remains in stable condition after his left leg was crushed by the 3-ton boulder. Remember that name, that's come up before. The massive rocks, more than a dozen, rolled down a 1,500-foot high embankment at a mountaintop removal mining site. Mountaintop removal is a controversial form of coal mining that has recently come under fire from citizen groups in the Appalachian Mountains. In this practice, the entire contour of the mountain is changed forever, and waste, or overburden, is stored in nearby valley fills, impoundments containing rocks, dirt, and felled trees. Opponents of the mining practice say it was just a matter of time before someone was injured by the mining site, which stands atop Town Mountain, whose final slopes serve as the backyard to the school. The Environmental Protection Agency is on site and assisting in the cleanup. The school's principal, Harold Wright, who refused an interview for the story, would only say that buildings are beyond repair and will have to be raised and rebuilt. So the school is not going to be repairable. They have to start from scratch. In the meantime, when students, page 173, return from their Christmas break, they will attend school at a local church and will take lunch in a double-wide trailer that is being supplied by FEMA, which is the emergency response team for natural disasters in America. The fate of the basketball team, which is on track for the state championship, is more uncertain. A local elementary school's gymnasium is available for practice, but with so many team members out for the rest of the season, the coach is unsure about restructuring his team. I can't even think about that right now, says Coach Ted Simpson. These boys are like my own sons, and all I can think right now is of them getting better. Local grassroots activists have been fighting the mining practice for years and have been galvanized by the recent opening of the mine so close to the school. Nellie Justice, note that last name, is among the most vocal of those opponents. We've been saying for years that something like this would happen, Justice says. They think we fought hard before, but they've not seen anything yet. This means war. Now, my friends, who does that sound like? Starts with an M, ends with Amma. Justice's grandson, River Dean Justice, is one of the members of the team, but he was not harmed in the accident. Everyone can take a sigh of relief right there. We are now on page 174. Now, this is an email, and it's from kikurocks@yahoo.com. December 23rd, 2008. The subject says very worried, and it's to KY Basketball Boy 94, mountain.net. We heard about your school and the boys of the basketball team getting hurt. I know you're alive, but I'm very, 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 very worried. Please don't take a long time to write me back. Last night I dreamed you were all bloody and had no teeth. I hope you're okay. Your friend, Mina. P.S. This is Kiku's email, but you can write me back here. And now on page 175, he responds. Mina, it was so good to see your email. Thank you for worrying about me. I'm all right, but it was awful scary. I'll tell you about it as soon as I can. They say that the boulder that came through weighed 3 tons. You remember me talking about my best friend here, Mark. They say now that his leg is so torn up so bad, he'll never play basketball again. I've been real upset for him. I better go for now, but I wanted to let you know that I'm okay and I will write soon. If something like this ever happens again, you can call me at 606-553-4852. We should have given each other our phone numbers way back, but I just never thought of it. Sorry. I guess sooner or later we would have had to break our rule about no email. 176. Now River writes a letter to Mina, and this is on December 25th, 2008, so Christmas morning. Dear Mina, it is Christmas morning and the house is real quiet since everybody's still in bed, so I thought I'd write you. We open our presents on Christmas Eve, so that all of us left to do today is open the stockings. Then later, after this afternoon, we usually have Christmas dinner, but not this year since we're going to the hospital to visit the boys who are still in there. I guess there's not much use in telling you all about it because the whole country knows about it now. People let the big businesses get away with anything until the news gets involved. Mamaw says it's only because the school is part of the story, and it also makes for a good Christmas time story because it's a sort of miracle that we weren't all killed. She says they'll forget about us until the next time something like this happens. Mamaw says the mountain people get rediscovered every once in a while, but usually only when something bad happens. When my parents were little, there was a big mudslide that caused by the coal company that killed 125 people. Top of page 177. But people have forgotten about that too, although everybody was all mad about it all the time. Mamaw says that people don't really care about people here because they think we're a bunch of stupid hillbillies who are looking for a handout. She says you'd understand that better than anybody because people think that immigrants are all looking for a handout too. She said that the stereotype is that Indians are smart though, and either real poor or real rich. Mamaw says that the bad part is that people reduce us, hillbillies and Indians, down to some kind of little generalization. These are her words. They sort of make sense to me though. So referencing this, we understand that River is referencing a connection between him and Mina and how people view them, right? That they get reduced or they get made smaller than who they really are and they get generalized. So we know that that's not right, but River's making a connection here. Anyway, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. We have to practice basketball even during Christmas break, which sucks. But coach is pretty cool, and I really do think he makes us work so hard just because he cares about us. So we were at basketball practice, and we'd been there about an hour. Had a pretty hard workout, skins versus shirts. Then all at once, it felt like there was an earthquake. We have them here sometimes. The biggest one I've ever felt was a 6.5 on the Richter scale. This felt way stronger than that. We knew that they, top of 178, we're blasting up on the mountain because we'd felt little tremors all day long, like it was running right under the hardwood of the gym floor. But this was 1,000 times stronger than that. I truly thought the floor would stand up in front of us. It was like we all froze, not knowing what to do. Then we heard the first big rock slam into the side of the gym. My first thought was that a car had run into the wall. It hit so hard that the wall buckled. I could see it in slow motion as the crack ran up on the ceiling and caused some of the humongous lights and rafters to fall. One of them fell right on Paul Jenkins, right across his chest. I thought for sure he was dead, but turns out he just broke his ribs. So this is kind of where the part, as you guys could see from the email before, this is a very hard accident here that these boys are going to face. So if you get really queasy easily, keep that in mind, prepare your heart, just process as you go and pause when you need to. Then the big boulder came right through the side door. It took out the door and parts of the wall around it and rolled right across the floor toward Mark. Now remember, this is River's friend Mark that he talked about before. He just stood there. I hollered, "Run!" as loud as I could. Later, I found out that I had hollered so loud it hurt my throat. It's still a little sore. But just when I said that, Mark jumped back, not completely in time, because, page 179, the rock just smashed his leg. He passed out as soon as his leg was flattened. I started to run to him, but a big rafter fell right between us, and I thought for sure he was a goner. Coach, too, because I'd seen him running toward Mark, screaming and waving his arms. Then I figured out that I should run too, because it seemed like the whole ceiling was caving in. I could hear the other boys behind me hollering, but it was like they were way down in a well somewhere. They sounded so far away. We ran out the door the other side, and I looked up, and it seemed like every bit of Town Mountain was rolling down to crush the school. All these big rocks and lots of real small ones, and a big wall of dirt. That's when Coach came running out with Mark in his arms. I swear, Mina, there were two big rocks that came so close to him that I bet he felt the wind of them. And then everything got real quiet, the strangest, deepest quiet I've ever known. Coach popped up and started counting everybody. He was like somebody wild. "Who am I missing?" he said, breathing hard, talking so fast. Spit was flying from his lips. We're on page 180. Who's not here?" he kept saying, more to himself than us, but I told him that we were all here. 4 other boys were hurt pretty bad, but Mark was the worst. His leg looked like a piece of ragged meat and his face was going blue. There was blood everywhere. I saw it spreading out in a big pool around his leg. He was moaning with his eyes rolled back behind his head, and one of his hands wouldn't stop shaking. I couldn't stop looking at his hand because it was freaking me out the way it kept shaking. And that's the last thing I remember for a while. Next thing I knew, there were all kinds of sirens. Then we were at the hospital and I passed out. They said I was in shock, but I got okay. They gave me a Coke and a little Debbie, which made me feel better. I couldn't believe it. But my mom came to the hospital. I hadn't seen her out and about in ages, but there she was. I know this sounds crazy, but I'd forgotten how she moved. I was so glad to see her up and walking on her own, not to be lying down in bed with a washcloth on her forehead. That my first thought was that this was all worth it. I felt bad later, thinking that, especially page 181, because Mark may never walk again and they might even have to amputate his leg or remove his leg, although that's not in the papers yet. Mom ran in with Mamaw close behind. Mom ran over and wrapped me in her arms, and then tears were just streaming down her face like little waterfalls. But I didn't cry. I was so happy to see her, but I was numb too. I didn't know how to explain it, but I thought this is how a rock feels all the time. I guess people would say that rocks don't feel, but not feeling is kind of a feeling too. Does that make any sense? Then Dad came running in, and I've never seen him so scared. He was as pale as a ghost, and once he saw, page 182, that I was all right, he actually had to run into the little bathroom there was in the emergency room and throw up. Being scared messes with people in different ways, I reckon. Some of the boys are still in the hospital, and all the news crews are camped out down there. I mean, everybody, NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, every one of them. Mamaw has been on all of them. Have you seen her? You know it was her instantly, especially since her last name is Justice, just like mine, Nellie Justice. I guess you don't really know her name since I'm always calling her Mamaw, but that's her. Dad said she was giving them hell, H-E double hockey sticks. Mamaw and this bunch of people she works with called Kentuckians for the Commonwealth are planning a big march at the state capitol. There are movie stars and singers and writers coming to march too, but mostly just regular people and even coal miners. You won't believe it. My mom and dad are going too. Mamaw has everybody all fired up. She's been on the phone nonstop since it happened. Since all the rocks fell, it's easier to see how much of Town Mountain they've taken. Used to be you really couldn't see. Page 183, all the damage from down in the valley, but now it's just gone. It makes me sick. I've thought of you many times through all this, and I wondered what you were seeing on the news about it. I know it's a big news story, but I wonder how much you've seen. Let me know. They wanted to put me on the news, but my parents said no. They've been showing the picture of the whole basketball team, so you might have seen me that way. It is weird to be on the news like that. Every time we turned on the TV for a couple of days, there I was in that group picture. Then they show the gym with all the rocks piled up against it. On one channel, they have made up special music for when they talk about us. And they have this big movie title that glides on the screen that says, Christmas Miracle in Kentucky. Mom says this is ridiculous for news to have theme music. She's been better since all this happened. I don't know why. But anyway, now we just don't even turn on the television. But how are you, Mina? I'm so sick of talking about all of this that I would just much rather hear about what's going on with you. I still think about your daddy and feel bad for her. Feel bad for you, page 184. I hope you're not too sad still. I hate to think of you being sad. It started snowing yesterday, and I thought of what you said about your grandmother being in the snow and the sunshine. To answer your question, no, Rufus doesn't come in when it's cold. He's a country dog and would freak out if we brought him in the house. One time he ran in the house because he was scared of a thunderstorm that was coming. He heard it before we did, but then he got even more scared to be walking on the linoleum. I can never pronounce this word, guys. I'm sorry. Linoleum. 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 The floor. So he ran back out and ran under the porch and wouldn't stop shivering for the rest of the night. In all the excitement, I guess I hadn't really told you about Dad coming home. He'd only been home a couple of days when the rock fall happened, so I haven't been with him all the way I would have regularly. But the first couple of days were real good. When he came in, I realized how much I missed him, and I hugged him so hard I hurt his neck. Whoa there now, little man, he said. You're going to break me in two. I'd forgotten that he called me little man sometimes. Page 185. When he went to see Mom, he kissed both of her eyes and whispered, oh, I've missed those pretty, pretty green eyes. But later on that night when I was supposed to be asleep, but I was finishing the new Spider-Man instead, wink, wink, I heard them arguing. Their words were muffled through the wall, but I could tell by the way their words bounced around that they were fighting. She was in the hospital until about a week ago before the rockfall and wasn't doing much better, really, until the rockfall. She hasn't had a headache since. There's one more question I need to answer. I only listen to Here Comes the Sun when I'm alone because it makes me sad, even though it's a happy song. I don't know why it makes me sad. It just does. I know I'm weird, but I can be weird with you. Remember, we can be our true selves with each other. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Write me as soon as you can. Yours truly, River Dean Justice. All right, friends, take a big breath. There was a lot of information, a lot of events that happened in River's world. Process it. Take some notes down, pause in your writer's notebook, take note, and then we're going to read Mina's response. Oh, never mind. There's a PS. PS. What I said on December 7th was, hi. So you did hear me. And on December 10th at 9:07, I believe I heard you say, I am here, River Dean Justice. It's me, Mina. At least that's what I thought I heard. And later that evening, I thought you said to me in my head, did you hear what I said earlier? So I think we do have telepathy. Let me know if these are messages that you sent me. Now here's Mina's response. We're on page 187 now. We're almost there, guys. 4 more pages. January 7th, 2009. Dear River, Happy New Year. Everyone is so glad you're okay. Mom did a special Arthi for you, and I have been sending lots of telepathic messages. Are you still needing little Debbie's to feel better? What kind of medicine is that? I'm writing tiny so I can fit it on the back of this flyer. I just finished hanging 20 of them around the school. I drew the picture and Carlos did the lettering. The show goes up next week. How's your friend Mark? I hope he still has both of his legs. I hope he's not in pain. We did see your mama on TV. I knew it was her from her last name and from what she was saying. And because, I don't know, I just knew. In the group photo, I think you're the smiling boy with the freckles at the end of the front row. Am I right? When the photo came on TV, I jumped up and I pointed and I said, that's River. I know that's him. Mrs. Lau yelled at me for getting fingerprints all over the screen. 188. It was so scary to find out from TV. I was watching the news with Mrs. Lau in Cuba, and then all of a sudden, there was a town mountain looking like something had taken a big bite out of it. It was terrible to see the trees knocked over and your school squashed flat. When the news lady said boys from the basketball team were hurt, I got so scared I couldn't breathe. I can't believe this has happened to you. We watched the story on the TV for 3 days. Mrs. Lau cursed in Chinese whenever that man who owns the gold company came on. She said he was greedy and had a liar's chin. For the past week, there hasn't been anything on about your school. Now all the stories are about Obama's inauguration and the subway fare hike. Since Vanessa and her baby got kicked out of the building, Mrs. Lau has been picking up Vanessa's newspaper from the vestibule. Apparently that's a word I struggle with too. She cut out all the articles on Town Mountain, and Mom let me put the picture of your basketball team on the fridge. I started saying, hi, River, every time I open the fridge. Then Kiku started doing it too, to make fun of me, and now everyone does it, even Mommy and Daddy. Page 189. Not like it's funny, just like it's something that's part of opening the fridge around here. I've read your letter 5 times to myself and once out loud in Miss Bledsoe's class. Don't worry, just the part where you describe the rocks coming down. There are 7 other kids from the summer program in class, but nobody but me is still writing to their pen pal. They were all surprised that we are best friends, but we haven't even met. Miss Bledsoe said that's what happens when you find a kindred spirit. Where are you going to school now? I'm sorry about all the bad things that happened, but it's good that your mom got out of bed and your daddy came home and that people are listening to your mama and helping her fight. It's like everything you've been praying for has come true. I feel like we've been through some very hard times together. I'm almost out of page. Sorry this is so tiny. I'll write more soon. Be safe, River Dean Justice. I am thinking of you and Town Mountain. Your kindred spirit, Mina. Okay, we're just going to read River's response. It's not that long. Page 190. Let's do this, guys. 15th of January, 2009. Dear Mina, this will be short because I have so much homework to make up. Miss Stindham is making us write another poem, so I'm going to practice by making this letter like a poem. So here it goes. Here are the answers to your letter. Little Debbie's are not medicine. They're little cakes. Tell that to my doctor because that's what I take too. We're going to school in the Lost Creek Church of God now. It's weird to be going to school there. We're in the basement, which is damp and cold all the time and smells like summer Bible school. I liked how your teacher said we were kindred spirits. I looked that up on MW.com and it says that means that we are related spirits, like family who is not blood family. I told Ma'am all this and she said, sometimes that's the best family of all. Page 191. There, that seems like a good place to end the poem. I actually kind of like writing them. It's fun to count up the syllables and think about where the best place is to make the line break so that there's a mystery. I guess I better run for now, though write to me when you can, please. What is an Arthi? You said your mom did one. I'm guessing it's like a prayer? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Later, Tater. river. And guys, you can close your books. I want you to take out those fancy dancy writer's notebooks and take note of what you've read, because there's a lot that happened. And we will discuss it when I see you next. We're really proud of you. Thank you for being amazing. And I can't wait to see you guys next class. All right, bye friends. See you next time.